Alright guys, so I'm back with another video for the month of January 2020, and for this month's challenge I have decided to stretch every single day for the next 30 days. My flexibility right now is awful. As a kid I used to be able to easily put my leg behind my head. Clearly I can no longer do that. Flexibility is an extremely important aspect of our physical health. As we continue to get older, naturally our flexibility continues to get worse over time. Stretching is known to have several benefits, including an increased range of mobility and a decreased risk for potential injuries related to exercise and so forth. As someone who enjoys working out and going to the gym, I am putting my body at an increased level of risk by not stretching properly. My goal with this challenge is really to improve my overall flexibility and range of motion. Each day I'm going to try to stretch for about 15 to 20 minutes after I work out. I really want to see what kind of effect stretching every day is going to have on my overall health as I do this challenge. So let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you what my typical routine looked like for the 30 days that I was stretching. I performed a 15 to 20 minutes routine. So this was the first stretch. It's called a neck flexion and it's just meant to stretch out your neck. So this next exercise, you sit on your knees, put your hands behind your back, and you try to extend them as far to the ground as possible. I really struggled with this exercise simply because I could not sit back. My ankles were in a lot of pain when I would do that, and it showed that I had very limited flexibility in my ankles, which was something that I wanted to improve throughout the 30 days. So this next exercise, it is just child's pose. You basically just extend your arms, put your head to the ground, and you get a nice release in your lower back. The stretch after that was a modified child's pose. You would really press your shoulders and your chest to the ground. So moving on, this was essentially child's pose with one arm out. So this next exercise was simply a push-up without actually lifting your feet up off the ground. Clearly this was very painful for me. As you can see in my face, this was the next exercise. And essentially you would lift your leg up onto your knee and you would pull your knee to your opposite shoulder. So moving on, this was probably the most difficult stretch for me. This was a deep squat, and as you can see, I cannot get my feet flat on the ground when I'm in my squat. So it was a deep squat, and then it was a transition into a pike. I made it a goal at this moment to try by the end of the 30 days to do a deep squat with my feet flat on the ground. So this was definitely the most difficult position for me. So this next exercise was simply a lunge. And after the squats, my hamstrings were really tight, so when I go into a lunge, my hamstrings would instantly cramp up. So this last exercise was probably my favorite. It was called the frog position, and essentially you just have your feet behind you and you try to push your knees out as far as possible. And this really helped open up your legs. If you're like me and you have difficulty in squatting position, this exercise really helps you with that. It really helps you open up your squat. So that was it. That was my entire routine that I did for the entire month. Alright, so I just finished the 5th day of the stretching challenge, and I've noticed that I'm a little bit more flexible. I still really struggle in squatting position. I cannot keep my feet on the ground when I'm in a squat. However, other than that, I mean, so far it's been pretty good. I've definitely noticed I'm able to control my stretches a little bit more, especially now that I'm breathing properly. Before I wasn't really breathing. Now I'm taking my time with the stretches, breathing in and out, and it's been really helpful. So I've got 25 more days, and I think by the end of it, hopefully, I will have a lot better range of motion and a lot better flexibility. Alright guys, so for today I decided to switch it up a little bit, and I decided to not do my normal routine and instead I decided to take a yoga class, more specifically a hot yoga class. So this should be pretty interesting. The only experience I have with yoga was when I was in college. I took one class and it was bad. It was not a great experience. I remember that we had to do this one exercise where we had to put our arms behind our back and we just had to lift them up over our head, and I could not physically do it. So my arms were like here when they should have been like here. I was like, man, yoga is just not for me. I am not flexible enough. I just can't do it. And so I just never went back. I never did yoga again. Through doing these challenges over the past few months, I'm beginning to realize that when you usually don't want to do something or you think you can't do something, that usually means that you should do it. And that's kind of been a big motivating factor for me as I'm doing these challenges. And that is particularly why I am deciding to give yoga another shot. I did not think I was going to be able to do it. I just thought that I was never going to be flexible enough and yoga just wasn't for me. So I'm giving it another shot in hopes that I have sort of a new outlook on it. So I will update you guys once I get out of the class and let you guys know how it went. Alright guys, so I just got out of the hot yoga class and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The class was an hour and a half long and I believe it was 26 different poses, and it was really challenging. I feel like I just jumped in a pool. I am just drenched in sweat right now. Just my shirt is just completely soaked. You probably can't tell, but it was very different, I would say. I liked it for the most part. Some of the poses were really hard, especially ones where I was on one leg. I felt like my balance was off when I was standing on one leg. But for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Did not know how difficult it was going to be. That was a bit of a surprise to me. But I definitely think I'm going to go back. I still have a few more weeks of the challenge, so definitely think I'm going to incorporate yoga a little bit more and hope it helps with my flexibility. That was definitely a better experience than the first time I did yoga.
So this is a short clip of day 16 where I completed the deep squat for the very first time, keeping my feet flat on the ground. And as you can see in my face, I was extremely happy about this. And it was awesome to be able to see my progression in such a short period of time.
I wanted to give you guys some advice and some lessons I learned throughout this 30 days to help you guys if you guys are looking to improve your flexibility as well. My first piece of advice is that your flexibility is not going to improve overnight. It's going to take time, it's going to take a lot of work, so it's important to stick to a daily routine in order to really achieve your flexibility goals. My second piece of advice is to practice good form. Good form is extremely important when you're doing these stretches in order to not injure yourself. So you want to take things slow and you really want to make sure that you're doing the stretch properly in order to get the most out of it. My third piece of advice is to breathe properly. When I first started the challenge, I was not breathing properly. When you start breathing properly and you take deep breaths in between your stretches, it really helps control your balance and it really helps you perform the stretch properly. My last piece of advice is to just not give up. Keep stretching on a daily basis, commit it to a routine, and you will definitely see progression as I did over the 30 days. One of the biggest lessons I learned throughout doing this challenge was that my progression was not always linear. So I wasn't getting better every single day. I often found myself being more flexible on some days and less flexible on other days. It had just depended on whether I had worked out or whether I hadn't worked out. Keep that in mind that some days you might be more flexible than the other days, so you shouldn't be discouraged by that. You should keep to your routine, keep doing it on a daily basis. With that being said, I really enjoyed doing this challenge. Flexibility was something that I always overlooked in my own personal life. It was always an afterthought, and I never really made it a primary focus in my own life. Flexibility is one of those things that if you don't continue to get better at it, or if you don't continue to work on it, over time you are simply going to lose it. Someone who enjoys working out and lifting weights, I do not want to risk injuring myself, so I'm definitely going to keep on stretching, keep on incorporating it into my daily routine, as to prevent injury and to really help with my flexibility and range of motion. I hope you guys liked this video. If you made it all the way to the end, please be sure to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. All those things really help me out, and I enjoy doing these videos, and I enjoy seeing your guys' support. I've got some pretty exciting plans for the next month's challenge, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So again, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.